The plants that never end. Dona Maria always said that her home garden was magical. These plants here never die, she said, pointing to the beds full of vegetables, herbs, and even some fruits. His 12-year-old grandson, Lucas, thought it was exaggerated. Grandma, plants aren't eternal, he laughed as he helped water the tomato plants. But one day, everything changed. It was a hot Saturday afternoon when Lucas arrived home from school and found his grandmother sitting on the porch, with an old notebook in her hands. "Come here, boy. I want to show you something," she called, patting the bench next to him. Lucas approached, curious. "What is this, Grandma?" "It's my plant diary. Here are the names of 20 plants that provide food forever, if we take care of them properly." Lucas frowned. "Forever? Like, they never die?" "It's not quite like that," explained Dona Maria, laughing. "They last a long time, some even years, and they feed non-stop. Others, we harvest and they grow again. It's as if they were gifts that never end." Lucas took the notebook and flipped through the pages. There were drawings, notes, and even some dirt stains. "It looks like a witch thing," he joked. "No witch." Dona Maria patted him lightly on the head. "You just need to know how to take care of it. Want to learn." Lucas hesitated. He liked to play football and video games, but garden? I had never thought much about it. But his grandmother had that way of knowing things, and he ended up agreeing. "It's okay. But only if it's quick." Dona Maria smiled and stood up. "Then come with me. Let's start with the easiest." 1. Chives. They went to a corner of the garden where there were a lot of thin green leaves sticking out of the ground. "This one is the chives," said Dona Maria, tearing off a handful. "Just look." She cut the leaves with scissors, leaving them about 2 fingers tall. "Now, we wait. In a week, it will be the same size again." Lucas watched. "Really? It grows back like that, out of nowhere?" "Not out of nowhere, boy. The root remains in the earth, and it sprouts again. It's like hair. You cut it, but it doesn't stop growing." Lucas laughed. "So it's like Uncle John's hair, who lives in the barber shop." Dona Maria laughed. "Yeah, but at least the chives don't complain when we cut them." 2. Leek. In the flower bed next to it, there were some tall plants, with long leaves and a white stem. "This is the leek," explained Dona Maria. "We eat the lower part, but if you leave a little piece of the root in the ground, it grows again. Like chives." "That. But this one takes a little longer. But look how cool it is. We can only harvest what we need and let the rest grow." Lucas picked up a leaf and smelled it. "It stinks." "It doesn't stink, boy. It has a strong smell. It's good for seasoning food. Like on rice." "Exactly. In rice, soup, beans. It gives a special taste." 3. Sweet potato. They headed to another flower bed, where green leaves littered the ground. "Sweet potatoes are another one that never ends," said Dona Maria, pulling out a leaf. "We harvest the potatoes, but if we leave one in the ground, it sprouts again. What if we don't harvest? Then it gets too big, becomes hard, and is no longer good to eat. You have to harvest at the right time." Lucas took a leaf and chewed. "It tastes like nothing." "The leaves are also edible, you know? We can cook it like spinach." "I prefer fries." Dona Maria shook her head, laughing. "One day you'll like it. You can wait." 4. Basil. Near the kitchen, in a large pot, there was a fragrant plant with green and purple leaves. "This one is basil," said Dona Maria, tearing off a leaf and rubbing it between her fingers. "Smell." Lucas did as she ordered. Fragrant. Is that what's in the pizza sauce?" "That's right. And look, if we cut the branches, it grows stronger. And if it leaves a little flower, it releases seeds and grows alone in other places. Like magic. Like nature, boy. Nature is full of tricks." Luke's challenge after showing some more plants, such as mint, which grows as far as it isn't called, and rosemary, which lasts for years, Dona Maria stopped and looked at her grandson. "And there. What did you think?" Lucas shrugged. "Cool. But I still think plants aren't eternal." Dona Maria crossed her arms. "So I challenge you. Choose a plant from here and take care of it for a month. If it doesn't give you food again, I'll give you 100 friaris bill." Lucas's eyes lit up. 100 friaris? Really? Serious. But if it grows, You helped me take care of the garden for a month. Lucas thought quickly. 100 reais was a lot of money. But what if the plant actually grew back? He looked at the options: chives, leeks, sweet potatoes. In the end, he chose the chives. Closed. The month that changed everything in the first few days. Lucas watered the chives lazily, just because he promised. But after a week, he saw that the leaves were growing again. Damn! It's really coming back, he shouted, calling his grandmother. Dona Maria came to see and smiled. I told you. At the end of the month, the chives were tall again, ready to be harvested. Lucas was impressed. So, I lost the bet. You didn't lose, boy. You have been taught a lesson. And a plant that will give you food forever. Lucas scratched his head. But what about the 100 reais? Dona Maria laughed. These are saved for when you want to buy new seeds. Because now you'll want to plant more, won't you? Lucas looked at the vegetable garden, full of plants he didn't even know existed. Okay. But only if we plant a strawberry tree too. Deal. The garden that never ended over time. Lucas fell in love with the garden. He learned that kale also grew back after harvesting the leaves, that ginger could be replanted, and that chili peppers bore fruit year-round. Even lettuce, which he thought would die after being harvested, could sprout again if the stalk was left in water. One day, he invited his friends from school to see the garden. Look. This chive here I cut 3 times and it hasn't stopped growing, he said, proudly. Lie, said Pedro, the most skeptical friend. And truth. Lucas cut a handful of leaves and showed them. It's sore. Now just wait. And this one? Anna asked, pointing to a lemongrass plant. This one makes tea forever. Just cut it and it comes back. Friends were impressed. I want a garden like that, said Anna. It's easy, Lucas replied. Just start with a plant. Dona Maria's secret at the end of the year, the garden was bigger than ever. Lucas already knew how to care for almost all the plants, and even taught his neighbors. One day, he asked his grandmother, Grandma, how did you learn all this? Dona Maria sat on the bench on the porch and sighed. I learned it from my grandmother, who learned it from hers. It's knowledge that passes from generation to generation. In the past, people didn't have a supermarket on the corner. They had to grow what they ate. And why don't people do that anymore? Because they forgot. They think it's easier to buy everything ready-made. But look what we have here. Fresh, poison-free food that doesn't run out. It's a treasure. Lucas looked at the plants, at the bees buzzing around the flowers, at the sun hitting the leaves. He understood what his grandmother meant. So, is the garden really magical? Dona Maria smiled. Magic is nature, boy. We just need to know how to take care of it. And so, among plants that grew again, harvests that never ended and lessons that would last forever, Lucas discovered that his grandmother's garden was, yes, a little magical. But most of all, it was real. And it was there, within reach. Lucas took a cabbage leaf and ran his fingers over it. It was soft, almost shining in the sun. Grandma, what if I want to take some seedlings home? My mother keeps saying that vegetables are expensive in the market. Dona Maria laughed, taking off her straw hat and wiping her forehead. Of course, boy. But you have to promise one thing. Take care of them. There's no point taking it and forgetting it in the corner. I'll take care of it. Lucas straightened his shoulders. I can even teach my friends. Joel loves to eat lettuce, but his mother only buys the wilted one from a supermarket. That's it. Dona Maria took a small pair of scissors and cut a sprig of rosemary. It starts with a little plant. Afterwards, they multiply on their own, like rabbits. Lucas laughed. Rabbits don't give food, Grandma. Yes, it can, if we know how to wait. She blinked. But these ones work faster. The next day, Lucas arrived home with a bag full of seedlings, basil, chives, a sweet potato to plant, and even a small piece of ginger. His mother was in the kitchen, washing dishes, and almost dropped the plate when she saw it. My God, Lucas. What is this all about? Food that never ends, Mom. Grandma taught. The mother dried her hands on her apron and picked up the sweet potato. He turned it over in his hand, suspicious. And how does this become food? Just bury a piece. Then it sprouts. Lucas opened a smile. And we can harvest the leaves for salad too. The mother shook her head but didn't throw anything away. At the end of the afternoon, the two dug a small flower bed in the backyard, between the stones and the clothesline. Lucas explained everything: how to water, how to keep the soil soft, how not to step on the plants. What if it doesn't work? The mother asked, while spreading dirt with her hands. Then we try again. Lucas shrugged. Grandma said that nature forgives, but it doesn't like laziness. The mother laughed. That grandmother of yours is naughty. In the following days, Lucas checked the seedlings every morning before going to school. At first, he didn't see anything happen. But a week later, a little green leaf appeared on the chive plant. Then another. And another one. Mother! Look! He shouted, pointing. The mother came running, still wearing her slippers. Wow, it's really growing. I spoke. Lucas jumped with joy. Tomorrow you can cut some to put in the soup. His mother ran her hand through his hair. You're becoming a farmer, huh? No. Lucas looked at the plants, proud. I'm just learning not to depend solely on the market. And so, between watering, sun and a little patience, the magic of Dona Maria's garden began to spread throughout the city. First it was Lucas's house. Then, Joao's. Then, the grocery store owner, who decided to plant mint in the vase at the entrance. And no one has forgotten that, after all, the best food doesn't come in packages. It comes from the earth. And the desire to make it sprout. Dona Maria's neighbor, Dona Teresa, saw Lucas's plants through the window. Boy, what is that in your backyard? She asked, curious. It's our garden, Dona Teresa. Lucas replied, all excited. We plant and harvest forever. Forever. She frowned. I don't believe. It is serious. Lucas took a basil leaf and showed it. Look, cut it here and it grows back. Dona Teresa's eyes widened. Wow. And I spend money every month on seasoning. The next day, she showed up with an old vase and a rosemary seedling. Lucas, teach me? He smiled. Of course. First, you add good soil. Then, make a little hole like this. And it didn't stop there. Soon, Dona Teresa already had chives, parsley, and even a sweet potato growing in the corner of the wall. Look, Lucas. She shouted a week later. It's already sprouting. It saw. I spoke. He laughed. Time passed, and the garden became a talk on the street. Susie E., who lived on the other side, appeared with a head of lettuce that was half wilted. Lucas, this one is dying. Is there a way? He has. Lucas took the vase, removed the bad leaves and watered it. Now we just have to wait. Within a week, the lettuce was green again. Wow. Mister. Zie scratched his head. I've never seen a plant revive like that. It's just that they like to be careful, Lucas explained. And sunny. Little by little, the entire street began to plant crops. Even the boy in the yellow house, who only liked video games, decided to try. Lucas, what if I kill everything? He asked, nervously. We'll try again, Lucas shrugged. That's how you learn. And he really learned. Soon, the boy already had a tomato plant in the backyard and another pepper plant in a pot on the balcony. Just look. He showed, proudly. My mother already used it in food. Dona Maria, who was passing by, smiled. Do you see, Lucas? You didn't just make a vegetable garden. You taught the city how to plant. Lucas looked at all the pots, flower beds and pet bottles full of seedlings. It wasn't just me, he said. It was the earth. She just needed a chance. And so, between laughter, mistakes and successes, the entire city discovered that planting was not difficult. Just start. The story didn't stop there. Soon, neighbors began exchanging seedlings and tips. Dona Anna, this cabbage is huge, said Lucas, admiring the lady's flower bed. It's because I put eggshells on her feet, she replied, laughing. I learned it from my grandmother. The boy in the yellow house, now called Junior, the gardener by his friends, came running. Lucas, look what I brought. He showed a handful of sunflower seeds. My mother said you can eat the roasted seeds. Cool. Let's plant in the vacant lot there, Lucas pointed. Everyone helps. And it didn't take long. The land, previously full of rubbish, became a community garden. Children ran between the rows of lettuce and carrots. The adults chatted while watering. I never thought I would enjoy working the land so much, said Su Joao, who previously only complained about the weeds in the yard. Now we see the result, Lucas replied, smiling. Even the city hall noticed. One day, a truck appeared with fertilizer and tools. "It's for you," said the driver. The mayor saw what they were doing and decided to help. The city was excited. They planted more fruit trees on the sidewalks. Schools began teaching children how to tend gardens. And everyone had a story to tell. "My grandmother said that in the past everyone planted crops," said Dona Maria. "But we forgot. Now we remember," said Lucas. And so, between land, sun and lots of conversation, the city became a greener place. It wasn't just food that grew. It was friendship, patience, and the certainty that, together, even the simplest things could work out. The community garden grew so much that it no longer fit just in Dona Maria's backyard. Neighbors began to use vacant lots, flower beds in the square, and even vases in the windows. "Look, Lucas!" shouted the boy João, pointing to a tomato plant that grew alone in a corner of the street. "The land here is too good." Lucas laughed and picked up a shovel. "Let's see if we can get some more seedlings here." Dona Maria appeared with a bucket of water. "Don't forget to wet it, okay? A plant without water is like people without conversation. It won't move forward." The days passed, and the city became more and more green. Even Suzie, who previously only complained about the bush, now had a grapevine in front of his house. "I never thought I'd like this," he grumbled, but his eyes shone when he saw the growing curls. One day, a reporter showed up. "I wanted to know how it all started." "It was unintentional," said Lucas, shrugging his shoulders. "We only planted a seed." "And now?" she asked. Dona Maria smiled. "Now we plant a lot." The reporter wrote everything down and took photos. In the newspaper the following week, there was a big article: "City turns trash into food and neighbors into family." The mayor called Lucas. "I want you to teach other cities to do the same." Lucas was surprised. "Us? But we only plant things." "Exactly," said the mayor. "And that has already changed everything." Then, the trips began. Lucas, Dona Maria, and João went to other cities to teach. They took cuttings, seeds, and stories. "You don't need much," said Dona Maria. "Just earth, sun, and will." In a small town, a lady asked, "What if it doesn't work?" Lucas looked at her and smiled. "We make mistakes, try again and learn. That's how things grow." And so, little by little, other cities began to change. It wasn't just about food. It was about remembering that the earth gives, if we take care of it. It was about looking at your neighbor and thinking, together, we can do it. At the end of each day, Lucas returned home tired but happy. "I looked at the yard, at the overgrown trees, at the neighbors talking on the sidewalk. It was worth it," he murmured, before falling asleep. And the city, now greener, more alive, agreed in silence. Days later, Lucas woke up to a different noise. Someone was clapping at the gate. It was Su Antonio, the old man from the corner store. "Lucas, come here," he called, pointing to the street. Lucas rubbed his eyes and went to see. On the sidewalk in front of his house, there was a new flower bed, full of sweet potato seedlings, Ora pronobis, and even a small banana tree. Who did this?" Lucas asked, surprised. Mr. Antonio laughed. "It was the kids at school. They learned from you and Dona Maria. Now they want to plant everywhere." Lucas looked on, moved. The children were already there, watering the plants with colorful buckets. "Look, Uncle Lucas," shouted little Anna. "We did just like you taught." He crouched down and touched the earth. It was beautiful. "But remember, you have to take care of yourself every day, okay?" "It's okay," they responded in chorus. Dona Maria arrived soon after, bringing more seedlings. "Did you see that? What we plant grows more than we imagine." "It's true," Lucas agreed. "But now we are not alone." That afternoon, more neighbors showed up. Some brought seeds, others tools. Even the mayor stopped by and stopped to talk. "You are making the city change," he said. "If you need help, just talk." Lucas smiled. "We already have it. Just look around." And so, Lucas' backyard became a meeting point. Every day there was someone new wanting to learn, plant, or just exchange an idea. Sometimes problems even appeared. A pest here, a plant that didn't grow there. But together, they found solutions. One night, after a busy day, Lucas sat on the porch with Dona Maria. The sky was full of stars. "Do you think it will last?" he asked. Dona Maria looked at the lights of the surrounding houses, all with their own flower beds. "It's already lasting. And it will last longer." Lucas took a deep breath. "Then we continue." And it continued. Because when we plant seeds, we don't just plant food. Plant hope. And hope, yes, has no end.